Hi, I'm CJ Elmberg with Transwest Truck Trailer RV in Frederick, Colorado. We've got a brand new 2024 Cimarron Norstar 3-horse bumper pull sitting behind me here. This trailer just showed up. It's very well equipped with a lot of extras on it. Before we actually kind of jump in and start walking you through it, we'll go ahead and take a look at the drawing. That way you can see some of the specs on this trailer we're looking at. Like I mentioned, 3-horse front tack room on this one. On the floor, you're 18.9. Your true nose to tail, so from the back to your actual tongue itself, you're gonna add 3 more foot, so you're 21 foot 9 there. We're 7'1" tall, that's standard height on a Cimarron, and 6'10" wide, standard width. On a Cimarron, your all aluminum construction, 8-year structure warranty, 3-year hardware warranty, 1-year no questions asked warranty on your tires, which we'll talk a little bit more about. But on this guy here, it's not just a standard 3-horse. There's definitely been some nice upgrades and add-ons we put on these trailers. Very first thing you're gonna get is, if we look at this coupler, a few just specs on it. We're gonna have a 2 5/16 ball on this setup here. You have your manual crank bulldog jack. This trailer here weighs about 3,330 pounds officially, is the empty dry weight on it. So this could be towed with a lot of your new half-ton pickups. You know, those guys are rated, some of them are over 10,000 now, but your half-ton pickups, your SUVs, kind of even smaller SUVs. But you need to be aware of what your tow vehicle is capable of and make sure you have the tow vehicle that's actually going to easily handle this trailer itself. You have electric brakes, we'll talk about that. But up here on the nose itself, you're going to get that diamond plate, that tread bright on that bottom portion of the trailer. It's going to protect it from rocks. You're going to have your stainless sheeted nose on this trailer here, and then you're getting a good look at the the white sheeting. So white sheeting is standard. If you want to upgrade to another color, silver metallic's really popular, charcoal metallic black, there will be an upcharge. If you want to get in some custom colors, you can, but the white is a very popular option. Now on this one here, this is an RTG setup, so it's a ready-to-go package. So what we're going to have is, very first thing is with this front tack room, you're going to notice a 42-inch wide door. And I'll show you here in a second when I swing out saddle rack out into position why we have a 42-inch wide door. But if you're going to notice on the door itself, you're going to have a brush tray. So you can throw some smaller items in there. You know, fly sprays, brushes, anything like that. Hoof picks, just any smaller items just to kind of keep track of, and it's really handy right there in the door. We like to upgrade to the fold-up step on a gas shock. With this being 6'10" wide, you're gonna have the standard running board, which would normally go all the way up there to the break of the nose, but in this instance here, we really like fold-up steps. And the main reason why is it really changes transition by about 8 inches. So if you can see from floor, from ground level here to the bottom of that door frame there, that's a pretty big step. But by having that fold-up step, it kind of breaks it in half, not quite, but pretty dang close to it. So as that transition in and out of the tack room, it's going to make it so much easier, especially if you're hauling items. Maybe you have some younger juniors that you're traveling with. Again, just making it so much easier getting in and out of this tack room. As you can see, I can easily walk in with the saddle rack swung into place for travel. But as I start swinging it out, I want you to notice how this gap really starts to narrow. So we have our blanket bars up high, but then our saddle racks. So a lot of our competitors will run a 36-inch wide door on their swing out. So imagine cutting 6 inches off of this. Now you have a big Western saddle. You're going to start dragging them on these door frames. That's not ideal in what we want. The other thing is it's really difficult getting in and out of these tack rooms when this is swung out, when we have saddles on there. But with this nice 42-inch wide door, it's very easy to move in and out. And then obviously here it is with the swing out. There's those 2 blanket bars I was telling you about. Here's your 3 saddle pads. These can all be adjusted. So if we want to change just the way that the sequencing is, maybe we want to move one of these saddle racks up and put a blanket pole underneath, or we want to eliminate one, or hey, I don't need these, give me another saddle pad itself. All these can be adjusted. They just slide out the top. So you just loosen these nuts, get them to where you want in position, and retighten them up. So definitely a nice feature there. Now we can grab those saddles out there on ground level. We don't actually have to necessarily crawl into the front tack room. But in the tack room itself, on the floor, You're going to have rubber mats. I much would rather have a rubber mat than the carpet on the floor, just because it'll hold those stains and that odor over time. You know, we're going to be tracking in and out, a lot easier to clean up there. On the partition wall, you're going to have some of that carpet. And the reason why is we're going to have a couple sets of bridle hooks up here. These are aluminum powder coated, so these guys are really stout. These are designed by Cimarron, so I give them a lot of credit. You know, spacing's good, depth off the wall, but the height of them really is what I like as well. The depth off the wall and the height, because we're going to end up hanging a lot of stuff on these. That's kind of one thing I always notice when people send me trade pictures or show up on the lot with a trade, and you look in there and they have all their tack, you know, stuff's falling off, just because those older bridle hooks, they didn't have the adequate spacing or the height on them, on those hooks to actually hold everything. So it's nice to have that, but that carpet will protect everything in transit. It's not going to be on these aluminum sheeted walls, scuffing everything up, scuffing up the wall, or actually our tack itself. So in here, we're also going to have a clothes bar. It's over here, kind of more towards the driver's side of the nose. You can hang some clothes. They're not taking up space in the back of the tow vehicle. But also, if you're at an event and you need to hop in here and change, you've got that capability there. Spare tires located behind me. So it's the exact same. It's not like a donut, or you're going to get a steel. You're going to get the aluminum to match. You have an LED light right above the door as you come in. Plenty of light in here. That's the OptiBrite LED, so puts out a ton of light. Not a big power draw because of the LED. We used to go with a standard LED, but we would always upgrade to these OptiBrites. Now that is a standard light that Cimarron puts on them. And then the last piece in the tack room is going to be your corner water tank. So a 25-gallon corner water tank. This is a odd area and kind of usually wasted space. So High Country Plastics has built this to fit in these corners and fill that in, but also be able to carry water for your horses on the actual trailer itself. You get to an event, the hydrant's a long ways away. Instead of packing buckets, you can fill up right here. Or if you're traveling in summer months, you have a horse that only prefers water from home, it's nice to have this. So you fill from the top, empty from the bottom. It's elevated on the actual stand, so you can put a bucket in there. Or I like the hose that it comes with, and then do another ball valve on the end of that and fill your buckets up outside. Then again, you're not having to lug those in and out of this tack room necessarily. So on our tack doors, feed doors that we'll show you, they're going to have welded hinges with grease zerks. These are fantastic because you can maintain these. It's not like just a welded hinge where, boy, if it starts getting squeaky, you got to heat it up and try to get some type of lubricant in there. These you can actually just maintain yourself. It's kind of hard to see with this little bit of grease on there, but there's a brass rod in the middle. It runs the full length, and it's got a groove cut into it, so like a swirl. So as you put that grease in there and open and close this, it's actually wanting to feed this grease throughout the entire hinge itself. The hold back is on a ball, so it's a little bit easier. Look, these and tie rings will occasionally have customers call and say, hey, you know, one of these broke, a horse set back, or the wind did catch us. This is a couple dollar part that it's much easier to replace than actually doing damage to the door itself. So that's why these are made and will break at some point in the life of the trailer. But obviously in high winds, you just want to be cautious of that. Try to keep it closed if you need. But if you have it open, it's a lot easier to actually go ahead and put that hold back on these to hold them in place. Just be aware of when that wind does kick up. That is the potential of something happening. But again, those are a couple dollar parts rather than really doing damage to sidewall or a door itself. So we can help you out through our parts department on some of that stuff. All your doors, so your feed doors, your rear doors, I'll show you. This tack door is all going to have the exact same key. So it's really nice to be able to just use one key to lock everything up rather than having a whole gamut of keys to try to dig through what goes to the tack, what goes to the rear, what goes to my drops. So that's really nice that Cimarron does that. Up on the top rail, you're going to notice a 16-inch awning light. There's going to be one on the driver's side as well, and then a smaller one at the rear of this trailer. So we have plenty of exterior light. These shoot down and out. It's not the pedestal light that protrudes up and off the trailer, that if maybe you go under some trees or some brush, knock those guys off. That's definitely a nice option there. Then if you notice, instead of bus windows, standard bus windows, this one's going to have the drop down windows on the butt side. So you're going to have a bus window within it, a little bit smaller. You know, only half of your bus window actually opens, but if you want to get some airflow in there, you can. But boy, if you need a lot of airflow, you can drop these on the hip side and really get that airflow in there, keeping horses nice and comfortable. Definitely a nice upgrade right there that we're looking at. Now, axles, we have two 5,200 pound rubber torsion Dexter axles, electric brakes. So on your tow vehicle, excuse me, you're going to need either an integrated brake controller or an aftermarket. If you need an aftermarket, our parts and service department can help you there. But 5,200 pound axles, 16-inch aluminum wheels with 10-ply Goodyear tires. They're nitrogen filled, so it won't affect PSI levels drastically like air will. I mean, we were cool this morning, we'll get warm. You know, we have those big temperature swings. That's what can cause PSI levels to change drastically, causing blowouts. Airliners use nitrogen filled tires. Think about that. The altitude changes, the temperature changes they're dealing with. It keeps that PSI level nice and you know, without fluctuating more than a pound or two. If you need to put air to these, are totally fine. You can do that. A lot of tire dealers around the area can get you the nitrogen filled if you want to go ahead and maybe patch something up. Maybe you do catch a nail, maybe you have a blowout, maybe you catch some road debris. The company that Cimarron uses, Lion's Head, those guys there stand behind these tires for a year. So from the date you purchase them, no questions asked warranty. So if one of those things happens, you can actually go ahead and get a brand new tire. You'll need some information. We can help you out with that, but they will want to take a picture. They'll want a picture of the actual damage itself. They'll want to know the date code on it. They'll want to know the size and the brand. So there's some information we'll need to provide them. You're not necessarily going through Cimarron, it'll be through Lion's Head, but we can help you out with that. But boy, it's nice to have another warranty even on our tires, and that's what you're going to get when you purchase a new Cimarron. Now, as we get to the back here, a couple things you're going to notice right off the bat. Probably the very first thing that's going to draw your attention is the rear ramp. This one here, we opted for the rear ramp. We've got some other versions that don't have a rear ramp. We can always add ramps on. That is the one nice thing. If you don't want a ramp on this trailer necessarily, we could cut it off, put a rubber bumper on the back, and you're in business. The other flip side is if you see a trailer that we have on the lot that you want a ramp, same thing, we remove the rubber bumper and weld the ramp on. But this is so nice because if you have a horse that prefers a ramp load, or you want to use this for some other things, maybe haul some toys, loading them is so much easier by having the rear ramp on there. Then on our doors, you're going to have independent doors. It's a 60-40 setup. So our right-hand door is a little bit larger than the left-hand. As we get into the wider trailers, the 7.6, the 8 wides, it'll swap to a 50-50 setup on these rear doors. But they are independent, so you can open and close one ahead of the other. It doesn't really matter what sequence you close them. You can open them the other way. Butt strap that goes across, because we have that larger opening. If we had a rear folding tack back here, more than likely you'd see a bar. But on these larger openings, that's one large piece of aluminum that when you break loose, if a horse hits it, that's going to come at you. So we do like the strap for that reason, just a little bit safer for you. There's that 8-inch awning light I was telling you about. So again, you have those lights all the way around the trailer. And then you're going to have some interior LEDs in here as well. Same ones as we saw in that front tack room, the big OptiBright lights. And then as you can see, I'm opening up our dividers. So solid dividers with pads. Our divider number 1 is a stud divider, so it goes down to the floor. So maybe this stall is used for other storage, whether it's feed, bedding, miscellaneous stuff, your cooler, those type of items. It's nice to have those and not have to worry about things getting underneath horses in transit. Now this trailer is tipped towards passenger side, so Cimarron does have some big springs. They're trying to hold these dividers over. Since this one's a stud, it's got a lot more weight to it, but if you're on flat ground, these will want to pull towards the passenger side, or to driver's side, excuse me. So Cimarron likes everything one-handed operation. You're leading a horse, I want to be able to open a divider. I'm not having to hold a divider in those type of instances. And same thing on the actual latches, one hand motion. slams into an actual paddle latch. This is heavy UHMW plastic, so we don't have metal to metal contact, and then it's surrounded and recessed into the wall by an aluminum powder coated piece. So no sharp edges, no 90-degree angles, trying to eliminate that noise in here, really keeping the horses nice and comfortable. We always have to remember these are horse trailers, so we have to worry about horses first and foremost when we're loading, and then also how we just design the trailer in general. You know, you put your hands on these dividers and everything has a radius, everything is smooth. But the pads are definitely nice. Again, if you have somebody you need to separate or just use that as extra storage, it's nice with that stud divider. And then in this back stall as well, we made it a little bit larger so we can keep this as one solid divider rather than making it a telescoping. But if you need a little bit more room, have a little bit bigger horse, that's a good candidate for that last stall just because of that extra length to the trailer in the rear stall. They can almost take that one step to the left and just create a lot more room for themselves. So we talked about the drop windows on the hip side, but let's talk about what we got going for airflow up on the roof. So we have two-way roof vents. We have 3 of them, one above each horse. We can manipulate that airflow with these. We have windows in the back door. We have these here, so we can, again, almost create a little bit of a vacuum. If you need to shut it down, you can. You know, winter months, if you have things shut up a little bit more, you can open them backwards, so it'll release that warmer air as it rises. But it's nice to be able to manipulate that. Then we're going to cap it off with the insulated roof. So that's standard on every single Cimarron. So it's a 1/2 inch thick, it's reinforced, it's a honeycomb design, so it's really strong. Now as we get into these, you know, spring and summer months, we have to worry about hail here in Colorado. So our aluminum sheeted roofs, last May 9th, we got hit with a hailstorm. Every one of those trailers had hail damage. The Cimarrons did not. The only exception to that was on our living quarters. Maybe we had some vent covers that got dinged, maybe a pod cover or a generator cover, because those are aluminum, which they're changing on their pods, which is really cool, to this insulated roof material as well. So that'll help eliminate that. But the Cimarrons came out of it unscathed. So, you know, that makes a big difference truly in the value of the trailer, not having to go through insurance, not having to ding just your overall value of the trailer after the fact, because we have to ding those trailers when they have hail damage. So definitely a nice feature there. I also like what it does for stall area temperature. Keeps it about 20% cooler. So in those summer months, the really hot ones out here on this asphalt on the lot, I like taking customers to a sealed up horse trailer with an aluminum sheeted roof and then take them to a Cimarron. You'll physically tell a difference, and that will just keep your horses nice and cool. And the last thing is this floor we're standing on. So this one here, we did rubber mats. If you want to go with like a worm flooring, we can help you out with that. We don't necessarily install it, but we know somebody that does here in the state, so we can help you out there. But you have an aluminum floor, the industry's best floor on the market out there. It is 4-inch centers. So wherever you have a horse standing on a Cimarron floor, they're standing on a support beam. Those are those beams that run across the full length of the trailer. It's a 12-inch extruded piece that locks in high and low, so tongue and groove. When you have those 2 anchor points, it really strengthens it as you put them together. You only have to have 1 anchor point in the middle, where some manufacturers do. It has the ability to really work on you or walk on you, creating some of those buckles. But when you have that type of a floor, you're not going to have those pits that horses can cause just because of their weight in these trailers that will collect urine, start to corrode, and have issues. All these all aluminum trailers, you need to pull these mats out and just care for them. You know, power wash them out, let them dry, assess if you have any damage, anything needs to be addressed at that point. It's so much easier than down the road. But then a little tip is take some baking soda and sprinkle that down, and then put your mats back in. You're gonna need double what you think when you're at the store. That's just my observation on it. But that will counteract the acidity of urine, so we're not going to have as much corrosion. So, but on all these all aluminum trailers, you need to take care of them, care for them, pull these mats out, clean it, put them back in. Unless you want to go with like a worm flooring, again, that's permanent, it's unpenetrable, then you don't have to necessarily worry about that. Now over on driver's side, Up on the top rail again, there's your 16-inch awning light that we saw on the other side. All these are on individual switches as well, so you can just turn one light on, or you can have them all on once you turn all the switches on. Then here's our feed doors on driver's side. Same thing, big, massive drop windows. This is all framework around these. These guys are big and stout. You're gonna use these doors almost every time you utilize this trailer. So these type of things need to hold up, and they're so stout. If you ever see a prefab window or minimal framework around it, they're really lightweight. Horses can potentially hit them, break the glass, do damage to them. These guys here are so big and stout that you can literally shake this entire trailer with these drop windows. That's how strong these guys are. Then you're gonna have your jail bars on the head side. Those drop down. There's a track that they're in. You just go ahead and lift it up a little bit, lift it back up to set them back in that track. If you want screens, you can buy those through Cimarron. Again, these are key to light, so we can lock all these. And then in that first stall there, you're gonna get an escape door. You see the chest bar that goes over that one. So you can access some items if you need to, if you're utilizing that. Maybe get to an event and all your bedding's right there. Before you unload horses, you can go get your stalls set up by just reaching in here and grabbing that. And then once again, it's got a actual latch, and then the paddle that goes over it, that butterfly design there, and then that's lockable as well. The reason why you have 2 points on this one is if we have a horse in there that likes to play with things, we don't want them messing and open that up. This will secure it. And again, I can lock that, so I can lock everything up. So really well equipped little 3-horse bumper pole. Maybe you're just needing an upgrade from a 2-horse. You're wanting to stick with a bumper pole based on your tow vehicle. Maybe you got a big LQ that you need a runaround trailer. This is a great setup for that. So I'm going to give you the stock number on it. Again, it's a 2024 Cimarron Norstar 3-horse bumper pole. That stock number is 5N240092. We do take trade-ins, so if you're looking to upgrade, downsize, we can help you there. Financing is available, and delivery is an option, so we could potentially just bring this right to your door. So give us a call. Anybody on the sales team can help you out. That number is 303-684-3400. We appreciate you tuning in. Have a good day.